This is the AOC Sports High School Football Preview Show.
Our week 2 of the high school football season starts, we'll kick it off in about 30 minutes from now. Jim Cox, Dan Brennan, Heather Healy will join us in just a few moments as well as we get ready for tonight's matchup. We've got the Spanish Fort Toros on the road, 0-1 after that really tough last-second loss to Fairhope, and Blount playing host to the Toros tonight. They're also 0-1. Kind of a surprise, got shut out by Viger. Just the fact they didn't get any points on the board, I think, was probably the biggest.
They got down there a few times.
Yeah.
They just weren't able to, they would shoot themselves in the foot inside the 5-10 yard line.
And Viger's defense
pretty good.
Probably had a little to do with that.
They've got some guys that are going to play at the next level.
We'll talk more about that game as we go back to our game we had last week when we had the Daphne Trojans playing host to the Saraland Spartans, and Jeff Kelly was telling us, we're a young team. We got some really young kids in key spots, but some did have experience. And then I think the other side, Kenny King, we talked to him before the game. He was feeling good about some of his kids that were now seniors that played a lot last year that were going to make a difference. And for a quarter, it certainly looked that way for Daphne. And then it was just, it was all Saraland after that first quarter.
This is a reference that a lot of you might not get. Maybe I shouldn't even use it, but in Get Smart.
We have time. Go ahead.
They had the cone of silence. It was Mel Brooks' gag. You would walk into the chief's office, and if he wanted to have a conversation that no one else heard, this cone would come down over them, and the cone always malfunctioned. The point is, when I walked in to see Coach Kelly on the week before the game, it was cone of silence time. He was almost whispering in his own office. And here's what he was whispering. We're pretty good, Dan. We're pretty good. And he kept making the point that they were young. But he said our young guys are really good. And we got a chance to see that, for real. McWilliams, the tailback. Of course, Williams,
Ryan Williams, the player of the game last week.
Yeah, and of course, already offered by Alabama.
Yep.
How often does that happen in the state to a sophomore?
Right.
Almost never.
Just starting a sophomore year, not even midway through the season.
So I was really anxious to see that game. And then when I saw it, it was like, he was exactly right. Because he said, we're playing against our own defense. I'm not sure, really, But in the end, it was just about, the point was that they were just throwing quick things to Williams mostly, also the young gentleman in the slot, number 3.
Yep.
But, and Fairhope, it was hard to defend.
Daphne, yeah.
Daphne hard to defend, and if they blitzed a lot, but the quarterback got the ball out so quickly it had no effect on them. And if they stopped blitzing and Saraland was going to throw long, there was nobody that could. And they had some really good players back there.
Yeah, they get some physical corners back there. Safeties can go get the ball. So I think coaches say you see that big improvement from week 1 to week 2, and I think you also back to the Saraland side of things, took those young kids first quarter, get settled in, and then they really kind of started going after that. Heather Healy was down on the sideline, and she's also playing the part of our doctor. Last week you talked meniscus a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll do that, but this week starts region play, and this 6A Region 1. I mean, it is just going to be. It's going to be a bear from here until the last week of the season.
Yeah, for sure. From here on out, 100%. I want to get back to Ryan Williams, though. I was talking to Jeff Kelly at halftime, and I said, talk about his efforts from the first quarter on to that time period. And he goes, he doesn't play like a sophomore, does he? And I go, no, not at all. His eyes lit up. And then he was just a goner from third quarter on. And when I talked to Coach King at halftime, he said the number one thing we have to contain is Ryan Well. And obviously they didn't do that very well.
Right.
So for him to be the player of the game is definitely well deserved.
Yeah, and KJ Lacey, the sophomore quarterback, of course, was at Daphne last year. And I thought had some really good quotes in the paper talking about the sportsmanship from the Daphne kids, how they were talking there, and he said it was all just super respectful. There was no issues, and he was talking about how he respected how much respect he has for his former teammates over there. But as a sophomore, he didn't get hit a lot. That jersey didn't get dirty very often. He got it out quickly, and really had those quick quick hits, but then you also saw a few times when he needs to take a shot down the field, they're going to have that option this year.
He can do it for sure. Don't worry about that. But it was just because of the way that Daphne was playing defense. They're bringing extra people. They're trying to make it hard on Williams, but Williams made it hard on them because those quick outs to those really fast receivers. There was not a whole lot that Daphne could do. Just physically on the field, there was a mismatch that was completely taken advantage of. Does Jeff Kelly know how to call a play?
Yeah, and Jeff Kelly is not. As long as we've known him, he's not a guy who's going to oversell things. But he said, he knows that Ryan Williams, he's going to be really special.
Well, the punt return, how about that?
Yeah, that really helped change things around. But that's going to be he could be he could be one of the most highly sought after wide receivers in the country by the time he's a senior. And he's just one game into his sophomore. He had 4 touchdowns as a freshman.
Yes.
4 touchdowns
in that game.
Take the over. Take the over on that one. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back and talk more about our matchup tonight here as we've got Saraland with their 1 victory. They're playing Murphy tonight, but here on UTV 44, we've got Spanish Fort traveling up to Blount to take on the Leopards. We'll talk more about that coming up after this. We are back here at our AOC Sports Great facility here as we get ready for our week 2 of the high school football season. Jim Cox, Dan Brennan, Heather Healy with us here as we get ready for the matchup tonight. Spanish Fort going up against the Blount Leopards, and let's start a little bit on the Spanish Fort side of things. Both these teams, new coaches. Chase Smith, the new coach at Spanish Fort, but he's not new to Spanish Fort. Was an assistant coach there. I think he and his family moved there in 2007. And he left and took the Robertsdale head coaching job. Then he started the program down in Orange Beach, which was a huge task.
He came down with Vincent, right? He was at Greensboro.
Yeah.
So Coach Vincent came down, and he was the one that really ignited that program.
Greenville? Was it Greenville?
Yeah, Greenville.
We did a game up there when Coach Vincent was not really excited to see us. Remember?
Yeah,
or was that Coach Blackman that didn't like us up there? Was Coach Vincent?
Yeah.
Okay, there's been a few of those, but he's lived.
Not everybody likes it.
So he's lived in Spanish Fort, been a part of that community, and he and his wife, I know, really like that community. But knowing kind of what that bar is in Spanish Fort, it's like he was able to come into this job, I'm guessing, with eyes wide open, knowing what the expectations were and what it would take to be the head coach and take over that Toro program.
And he had a track record. He had a track record at Orange Beach. He did well. His second year at Orange Beach, they won a bunch of games. So he understands what the program is. You're so right. That's one of those programs that you better go in with a little better idea of exactly what's all going on here, what those expectations from the fan base, where they are. Because they're always, state title, if you please.
Yeah.
And they often get there or close. Ben Blackman's got a state title. Mark Freeman had a few.
Coach Vincent.
Coach Vincent. So the guys that generally get that job are able to succeed at the highest level.
Yeah, and going down and going to Robertsdale, which it's always a challenge. That's been a challenging head coaching spot for a long time. But then starting it from the ground floor in Orange Beach, and great resources there, great support. The Orange Beach community supported that school in a big way to start, and then seeing what they did there, and then coming up here. And we saw their hype video, and you and I were talking about it, and you could tell he gets it, and going into that job, like it's they're going to know who the coach is in your town.
Well, we don't know about their special teams. We know about their video department. And they're pretty darn good. That was a great hype video.
We do, and I want to piggyback on what Dan just said. I mean, that Toro fan base is going to let you know head on, if you will. You know what? I don't like to compare, different teams from, different parts across the country because it's not fair, but I want to kind of, well, here we go. Wait a second.
Here we go.
I want to say, it kind of reminds me, Spanish Fort reminds me of my high school, South Lake Carroll, because we have that standard as well. So if you don't come in with that mindset, like first day, then, you're going to have some problems. So
South Lake Carroll, with all those alumni.
Yes.
Drew Brees.
Yeah. Who was the last quarterback came through there after Brees?
It was Chase Daniel. Drew Brees didn't, but Chase Daniels.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
And that's all right. It's okay. It's okay. But Chase Daniels did, and
who has made a
Greg,
pile of money being a backup in the NFL.
Greg,
like just ringing the cash register, which I totally admire.
Greg McElroy.
Greg McElroy, there you go.
So a big one, but
played in the state, right?
But yeah, maybe. But to have that mindset, to have that bar set that high, and coming in that way, and you know that that's where the bar is set, that really is going to get you far when it comes to that that fan base and everything that comes with it as well. So I commend him for coming in, and because I mean, Coach Blackman did leave that legacy, if you will, there. So not to compare state to state, but I mean, that's only what I have to compare it to.
Makes good sense.
Yeah. So
I think about my high school, and Spanish Fort is like nothing like that. Nothing like that. Nothing like that. You know, when I moved to Spanish Fort, like there wasn't even a stadium there.
Yeah.
Like, you know, now it's like a.
Well, Spanish Fort is interesting. They started out as this rumor.
Yeah.
They became a school, but they were not on. We did not broadcast them on our games of the week yet. The first few years
played at Daphne when they first played their games, home games at Daphne when they started.
Yeah, so they were building, and then suddenly they were on the scene, and they were beating teams like Viger in the playoffs. And Jim and I are like, we've got to see this team, see what it's all about.
Yeah.
And they have kept that consistently from that point, maybe around 2008, 9, 10.
Yeah, exactly. And they, you know, which I think when Coach Vincent came in, really kind of changed, you know, started to change things around there, and then, and yeah, it just it means a lot to that community, and they've done a great job. And I was surprised when Coach Blackman left and went to Enterprise. Really surprised me this offseason.
We've learned a little bit more about Enterprise, though. It's a great school system. Number one, it's its own school system, like a Saraland. Okay, so they get to call all the shots. So their facilities are unbelievable. And if they get the right rotation of players coming through, guess what? You've got a good chance to challenge for a state title.
Yep, and they got a good coach over there as well. Speaking of state titles, Blount knows a thing or two about those in their rich history. We'll take a time out. When we come back, we'll talk about the Leopards. They too have a new head coach, and we'll talk all about Josh Harris heading up the storied Leopard program. We'll do that after this. We are about 20 minutes away from kickoff tonight. We are up at Blount, and you know, we record this because we couldn't get from AOC to Blount. We couldn't get to the press box in time on Friday night. So
We'd have to speed.
Yes,
and we prefer to be law-abiding.
Yes. So the one thing we are wondering about is this is Wednesday night, and there's been it has rained for 77 of the last 78 days here in Mobile. Yeah. So wondering, you know, looking at, saw Kelly Foster talking about the weather before I came here. Saw a 70% chance on Friday. You know, you just wonder, is it going to be there? How's that field gonna hold up? Because that could be a huge impact on the game. And you know, Blount, a team always with a lot of speed. Maybe if you're Spanish Fort, you're doing a little rain dance. I don't mind if it's a bit of a muddy track here.
You know, Blount's offense had trouble getting out of the starting blocks last week. I think the last thing, lost to a really good team with some really good defensive players, but you know, I was watching the replay, and they made some plays. They've got some explosive athletes. They just couldn't string first downs together.
And when turned it over a few times.
Yeah, when they got to the red zone, they just
or the maroon zone.
Yes, the Dr. Pepper maroon zone. That's right.
But you could see flashes of this team. They've got some talent. They've got some players. They just had trouble executing offensively, and I know that is a disappointment to Josh Harris, the new coach, because offense is what they hired him for, to straighten all that out.
So I thought it was, so Jerome Woods, who the principal at Blount, who we've known for a long time, went to okay, do you go to Murphy? I think he went to Murphy. Played football at Tulane.
He did.
So he's a principal who knows about football. Still looks like he could get out there and smack you around a little bit with
He had a son who was a wide receiver.
Talented wide receiver. Yeah. So so Blount didn't make the playoffs last year. I think they went 3-7. And that was the first time since '06 they hadn't made the playoffs, I think. So he, wanted to get things changed around, and of course there was a lot of interest in that job. And he went with someone who has no head coaching experience, but played at Blount, was a quarterback there under Ben Harris. Josh Harris was. Went to Tuskegee, got hurt there. Went to Atlanta, was a quarterback's coach. And coached around, was on the Blount staff.
Was it Clark in Atlanta, I believe? Okay.
And then was at the Blount staff under Lev Holly, and then coached, I believe, Scarborough Middle School, a back-to-back 8-0 seasons. So Jerome Woods was just like, I think, saying, hey, it's not all about the resume. I need somebody who can connect with the kids here at Blount, knows my community, kind of like Spanish Fort. And so, really looking forward to see what Josh Harris is able to do there. But again, wow, coming out first year in this loaded 6A Region 1.
Yeah, so your first year here in town, Blount did not play well.
Nope.
But they played well for nearly our entire time on television. A legendary program. They used to be in Pritchard, in the city of Pritchard, and then they decided to move the campus, a brand new campus, in a community called 8 Mile, which is away from the city.
Yeah.
But man, and Lev Holly, what a guy, what a coach he was. I saw one of my favorite ever pregame speeches by Lev Holly at Spanish Fort his last season there. Very inspirational guy, and if Josh Harris can be anything like Lev Holly, they're going to be really happy.
And he's got a mentor. I mean, and he can go to Lev for, he can lean at Lev still, in the school system, and of course leadership is a big part of it. But we had some great conversations with Lev Holly in parking lots too. Like after shooting these shows when we were somewhere else, like in the parking lot, just great conversations with him. So so they're going to have to get it turned around, and nobody wants to start off 0-2. Both these teams 0-1, but this is the region side of things. I mean, you just got, in that region, you got McGill's now in there. You got Murphy's dropped down, right? You got Robertsdale in there. You got Theodore's in there. You got Spanish Fort. You got St. Paul's in there. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody. You got Blount.
Saraland.
And 4 are going to get to the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah.
Just 4.
Yeah.
No pressure.
That's it.
No, it used to be you could almost say before the season started, well, there's the 4 that are going to get in.
We just don't know exactly how they're going to shake out.
1, 4, 4. You had an idea who's in, who's out. This year, the way this region is so stacked, Heather, I don't know.
Well, let me ask you: Is this the most competitive region in all of what we cover?
I think 6A has been. I think 6A Region 1 has been for the past 5, 6, 7 years, and now it's just like
ridiculous.
The new Region 1 was like, here, hold my beer, compared to the last regions, because now you bring in St. Paul's now. They're going to probably be there for 2 years, and they'll get probably
Theodore Murphy coming down.
Yeah, 270. And Murphy, won 7A region the last 2 years, went undefeated last year in the region, or Theodore, I mean, as well. Yeah, so it's and I think all the coaches are thinking the same thing. It's like, wow, this is just going to be
all the history that I've learned in the past 5.5 minutes. All of the everything that I've. You guys should teach a history class.
Yeah. I don't get asked to teach
a lot of people walking out of the class.
But no, seriously, all that I've learned within the past few minutes, I mean, I'll definitely take that with me on the
boat. And I would say at least 60% of it was correct that I just
there you go.
At least 60%.
I would have never guessed.
All right, we'll take a. You got some dumb questions for us? I'm
sure.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Yes.
When I did it, I always said they were dumb questions, but these are.
But I'll take that. I'll take that as a compliment with him. So yes, I'll say yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
I might even be able to come up with some.
I'm ready. Okay. All right.
We got time.
Yeah. No doctor questions.
We're about no doctor. Like I said, donkey.
No.
I'm not gonna ask any donkey questions. I'm not talking about coffee here. Anyway, we're back after this high school football preview show from AOC. It is Blount and Spanish Fort tonight as we get ready for our second night of high school football.
everybody, to the high school football preview show. Heather Healy with Jim Cox and Dan Brennan, and the tables have turned as I will
Never
be.
lets us be here for this segment ever. Kicks us out. Like after segment 3, she's like, "You two out."
Yes, after you're done, it's my turn.
Yeah.
But now you guys are going to be in the hot seat. But before we do that, we have to do our Wendy's Giant of the Week, and congratulations to the one, the only Ronnie Royal III. That's a great name, isn't it?
He's a great player.
He is a great player for sure.
Signs autographs R3.
That's right.
Just R3.
A junior all-purpose player from Gulf Shores High School is this week's Wendy's Giant of the Week. Do you want to be this week's Wendy's Giant of the Week? If you are a junior or a senior who plays on the football team at any of the high schools in our Alabama viewing area, well, guess what? You could win. Log on to utv44.com and click on the contest page to be entered for a Wendy's Giant of the Week prize pack. Pretty cool. Rules and regulations, of course, do apply. Again, juniors or seniors, so you guys cannot participate. Do I make myself clear?
Yes.
And Ryan Williams, 4 touchdowns as a sophomore?
Yeah.
Nope, not yet. Next year.
That's right.
Next year.
Okay, what was the question you're going to ask me? Before I ask
No,
you?
you got this is your segment.
Okay,
I just
all
had
right.
one.
So before I start this segment, I
The
always
segment's almost over, by the way.
I understand that, but before we do this, I always say play safe, play fair, and you cannot have the same answers. Ready?
Okay. Right.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, you've never been here before, so I got to lay down the rules.
So who gets to go first?
Well, I will point it out. Give me a second. Patience, my friend. Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Your dream vacation spot. Go.
Champagne, France.
Why?
Because I would just love to go drink bubbles all across the Champagne region of France with my wife.
Okay. Doesn't surprise me, Dan.
I'm going to kill you with this one.
Okay.
Champagne, France.
With my wife and I.
I would
Okay.
like the three of us, if it's
Yeah.
okay with them.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Come on.
The three of us to go to Champagne, France, and then Jim, I will follow Jim around as he chases
Yeah.
bubbles or whatever. I didn't hear his name.
You'd be the third wheel.
I would, yeah.
You would be the third wheel.
I'm good at that.
Okay. Would you rather have the slowest internet in the world or be stuck in the worst traffic every single day? Dan.
Slowest internet.
Why?
Because traffic drives me insane.
I agree.
I can't stand it.
Yeah, boy, that internet thing's a big one to me. I'd say with the internet. I can deal with the traffic.
Okay.
If I have high-speed internet, I can pass time.
Now, like I say to each player, be safe, play fair. That same goes for you two up in the booth.
All right.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Penguins or pandas?
Penguins.
Pandas.
All right.
Kevin McCarron's gonna
Kickoff's
love you as
about
well.
to happen. We will see you guys in a bit.